For our first story, we have I 36 male was demanded a prenup from my partner 32 female at the last link. Me and my partner are long distance, I'm in the UK. She's in the USA. We've been together for over 4 years and we agreed that I would move over there for a number of reasons. So in the UK I have a great career in professional sports, I live in an upscale area and have a great prospects. We recently filed for a K1 visa for myself which was approved in record time. Part of the reason we went for a K1 visa is because although I work as a performance chef in pro soccer, USA immigration does not count it as skilled labor, while I know I have 2 degrees. And otherwise the conditions for a chef visa are unassailable for most people. So my visa got approved and suddenly my partner demands a prenup. The issue is that beforehand I was leaving my job, my home, my family and friends. I was giving up a state pension pot I've paid into for over 20 years, but I needed to pay for 35 years to qualify for a payout. We are talking over $300,000 as of right now and $700,000 at retirement. I was also in the process of spending the majority of my life savings to get myself and my possessions over link out. It's an expensive endeavor. I was making all those sacrifices as I just wanted to start a new life with her. She then starts talking about she needs to protect the money she earns. She quoted her pension even though she's only been in the job 6 months. Keep in mind I'm sacrificing a 20-year contribution. I felt like this was a slap in the face considering what I was sacrificing, and a prenup would only favor her since I was burning the majority of my own assets just to be with her. She even talked about marriage like a business contract, and I explained that if I'm putting in 85% equity as a risk and the other party then decided last minute they want lawyers to reduce their own risk to 0%, why would any business agree to that? She started talking about how the statistics mean divorce could be likely. She says we should talk about divorce because it's healthy to do so even though we haven't got married yet? Is this an American thing? Seems like that contributes to the USA having one of highest divorce rates in the world. I hated the fact that I was taking a substantial financial hit and it wasn't reciprocated because it was never about the money for me, and now she's making it about money. I had a discussion with her and it just seems like she doesn't understand that I'm supposed to make a life-changing leap of faith, that if it went wrong could land myself deported, jobless, homeless and penniless, while she has no risk or consequences for link, would literally lose nothing while I could lose everything. She doesn't seem to understand how that can make a person hesitant, as she brought it up right at the point I got accepted for a visa, when I put all my trust with her, no questions, and then this prenup demand doesn't make me feel like I'm trusted in return. She's telling me it isn't that deep, like the sacrifices have been prepared to make mean nothing. I just want to know people's thoughts on this. That's the end of our first post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, I would take a hard pass on this situation. You're giving up way too much for her to do this. I mean, you're giving up a lot and basically starting from scratch here. Our second commenter says, ask her to reverse it? Would she move to UK, use all the money she has to do so, lose her pension, but have absolutely zero security if you were to divorce? Our third commenter says, a prenup is great as a means of protection for both parties if they're on even footing. Considering it only favors her and she's literally saying divorce is likely, why even bother? Don't get married and cut out the middleman. For our second story, we have, I told my parents 54 male and 49 female to write me 26 female out of the will if I had to become a Christian. To link, parents, male 54 and female 49, have started planning what to do with their assets once they die, and have asked me, female 26, to be their executor. I recently had a conversation with my mom that left me in a daze, and I'm still processing everything I said. She was talking about how she would like to set up their will like Dave Ramsey did. Apparently, Dave Ramsey sat down with his kids and told them that any inheritance they receive would need to be used for God's will, and if they didn't align with those values, they wouldn't inherit anything, that they were in or they were out. As soon as she explained that, I felt all my defensive walls go up. I have a lot of religious trauma, and the thought of being asked to become a Christian, or pretend to be one, just to receive an inheritance felt like too much. I told her if that's what they wanted to do, she should write me out of the will now because I won't be bribed into becoming a Christian. She said it wasn't a bribe, but more like a business. Her logic was that you wouldn't let someone inherit a business if they didn't hold the same values as the business. I told her I still see it as a bribe and that it feels like an attempt to dictate my life now and even after they die. I made it clear that even if their millions of dollars are on the line, I wouldn't become a Christian for money. Now, I don't regret what I said, but I also can't believe I said it. I couldn't believe I was basically saying no to a non-insignificant amount of money. I feel like I acted authentically, but I'm scared I might regret it one day. To add context, my religious trauma started in middle school when I was kicked out of the house for being disrespectful. My parents printed out a bunch of Bible verses to justify their actions, telling me it was both right and righteous to kick me out. In response, I wrote an essay supported by Bible verses to show them why what they did was wrong, but my dad dismissed it and said he'd only accept it if it came from a pastor, not me. That was the moment I began doubting my religion. Over the next few years, I thoroughly read the Bible and asked questions of religious leaders, trying to find answers. In the end, I came to the conclusion that the Christian God was either malevolent or grossly misrepresented by man, and that Christianity as a whole went against many of my personal beliefs and morals. Throughout middle school and high school, I was kicked out multiple times, and I lost a lot of faith in both the church and my family during those years. My relationship with my parents didn't begin to repair until I was diagnosed with cancer. During that time, they apologized for their actions, and we started rebuilding our relationship. My relationship with my parents has been much better since then, which is why this conversation about their will frustrated me so much. To make things even more complicated, I'm now wondering if I should tell them to choose someone else to be the executor of their will, like one of my siblings who are Christians. I feel like it's unfair to be expected to do all the work of distributing the money if I'm excluded. I also don't want to put myself in a position where I might be tempted to take something that isn't mine. I'm just so conflicted. On one hand, I don't want to sacrifice my values, or who I am. On the other hand, I can't stop questioning if I'm making the right decision. I know I'm not entitled to my parents' money, and I would have a hard time pretending to be something that I'm not, but I feel a lot of anxiety in my decision. Has anyone been in a similar situation? Do you have any advice? How do you process something like this? TLDR. My parents want their inheritance to only go to children who align with their Christian values. I told them to write me out of the will if that's the case because I refuse to be bribed into becoming a Christian. I'm proud of myself for being authentic, but I feel hurt by their decision, and I'm questioning if I'm handling this situation the right way. My specific question: how do I approach rebuilding trust and maintaining a healthy relationship with my parents after this conversation? That's the end of our second post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, I was the executor of my aunt's estate but not a beneficiary. I received a fee of a percentage of the value of the estate as required by state law. I want to say it was 2 to 3%, I'm sure it varies by state. It was a lot of hassle, but I did net a decent amount when the dust all settled. Just food for thought, since you're wondering if you even want to do it if you don't inherit. Our second commenter says, Dave Ramsey can eat shit. Our third commenter says, I'm shocked you're in contact with them at all. Let alone having heart-to-heart conversations about their beliefs and you listening a single second to their desires for you in your life. They made a 10 to 12-ish-year-old kid homeless? Where did you go? All those other times they kicked you out? Insane. They're still young and could have 30 to 40 years left on this earth watching you and threatening to revise the will whenever they see something they don't like. You can be free of them completely. For our last story, we have I, 29 female, am disappointed BF, 36 male, is going to a destination wedding as another girl's link BF was invited to a destination wedding as a +1. The wedding is a 6+ hour flight away. The girl who invited him as her +1 is someone he slept with, years ago. But he swears they're just friends, now. He said they've hung out, traveled together and slept in the same bed together more recently as 2023, but they never felt the desire to touch each other. We've been together nearly a year and I don't remember him mentioning her, though they've known each other for over a decade. So he said yes to attending the wedding. I feel super uncomfortable about the situation. I told my BF how I felt, and he made it seem like I was crazy for asking him for more details about this girl and the wedding. What are your thoughts on the situation? Update. The other girl lives states away and supposedly knows about me and can't wait to meet me one day. He doesn't know the couple getting married or anyone else at the wedding. Just the girl he's going with as her +1. He promises they're purely platonic and haven't been intimate for 10 years. After talking with him more, he said this whole thing is a matter of trust, and he seemed to make the conversation about me being jealous by saying he doesn't tolerate jealousy. I feel like we just aren't seeing eye to eye on why he thinks it's okay to go party with a girl I've never met, someone he has a history with, at a destination wedding. I want to be the secure, cool girl and trust him, but it's hard to wrap my brain around this. That's the end of our last post. Let's see what the commenters had to say. Our first commenter says, "Who the hell brings someone else's boyfriend as a +1 to a wedding? What's even crazier is that he accepted. There is nothing innocent about this." Our second commenter says, "My friend, F, went as a +1 with one of our other friends, M, to a wedding while she was still with her boyfriend. I know they had a twin room and I believe her that nothing happened, but everyone who knew found it very weird at the time. Very shortly afterwards she broke up with her boyfriend and is now married to the guy who she went to the wedding with. Do with that information what you wish." Our third commenter says, "Your partner told you they're going to a destination wedding with someone they've slept with before. They didn't ask for your blessing. They decided that they're going to do this, despite the impact to your relationship. I wouldn't settle for a relationship where my partner elevated a past fling over my security." That's all for today. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.